Ellis, can I just ask you about your time so far, how you found it, and how does it compare to Sligo?
No, I've loved it, to be fair. From the moment I came in, the lads made me feel so welcome, and all the staff. You could see the real togetherness that they had in the club, especially from last season. And yeah, it's not so much different in terms of all the little stuff. Obviously, whatever club you go to, there's similarities. Obviously, it feels like a bigger club based on the success last year. But I've absolutely loved my time so far. Probably been a little bit frustrated with myself in terms of I missed a big chunk of pre-season, so I felt like I had a bit of catching up to do. But now I'm starting to feel a lot more like myself. So yeah.
Jamie mentioned before that the fact that you missed pre-season didn't help you, and also in terms of the formation that they were going with from the start of the season. Would that make it all the more frustrating that you weren't necessarily going to naturally fit into that?
A little bit, yeah. But in football, you have to adapt sometimes, and if the gaffer tells me I'm playing in one position one week and a different one the next, then you've got to adapt to that and give it your all, no matter what position you're playing. So.
And just when you get a call from the champions, is it a bit of a no-brainer? Everything else being equal, that you'll sign for them? Or?
No, yeah, definitely. I think I said it to someone before how when the time came, I did want to go back to England. Obviously, I had that phone call with the gaffer, and I seen that Shell's done so well last year, and I was so impressed. So when they came in, it did turn into a no-brainer after meeting him in person. So yeah.
Do you find your mates taking a lot more interest when they hear you're playing for Damien Duff as well?
Oh yeah. Everyone speaks to me. They're checking in how I'm doing. And to be fair, I've had quite a few mates come over already. So I've got family coming over all the time. They love it over here.
Had you any chance to go back to England before Shell's came in terms of any offer?
Yeah, I did. I felt like I had a pretty good season last year at Sligo, so I knew I'd have a little bit of interest, and if I wanted to, I probably could have, but like I said before, I absolutely loved my time in Ireland last year, and I did want to stay and do another year, and yeah.
What was that conversation like with the manager about deciding to stay? Because obviously you had a spell at Cheltenham and maybe it wouldn't have been good for you, maybe obviously you were struggling.
No, yeah, it was just about staying and enjoying my football, because that's the most important thing for me. I had a rough couple of years at Cheltenham before I came over to Ireland, just in terms of off the pitch stuff and the mental side of it. So I wanted to enjoy my football again and fall in love with football again, and I did that last year. And that was the most important thing for me. He said to stay and I'll be happy and playing. So that's what kind of enticed me in.
Is that something that you even just realised over the last couple of years, that important of actually being happy in yourself as a person as much as playing football?
Oh yeah, definitely. I say it to people and to the lads all the time. When you're at your happiest, that's when you play your best football. So if you can get your on the pitch stuff right and your off the pitch stuff right, then you're going to give yourself a great chance to do well.
And you missed a bit. You said you missed a bit of pre-season. The manager said coming into the season that a few players missed it in pre-season with stupid injuries, picking up stuff. Were you one of those, or did you?
Probably you could say that. However, I did have a bad injury. I'd done it in Derry last year when I rolled my ankle pretty bad, so that took a long time to heal. But yeah, you could probably say that.
Ellis, was that the pitch in Derry, by the way, or yourself?
I don't want to say too much, but it was, yeah. It wasn't from an impact tackle or anything. It's from a change of direction. And AstroTurf are like these days. It just gripped my boot, and I ended up rolling my ankle pretty bad.
Not just Derry, the league is blind obviously in so many ways, but there's been a couple of chats about surfaces and conditions, which does affect style of play. Have you noticed that, or are the standards what you'd expect pitch-wise?
Yeah, I'm pretty used to it. Like, you can't really compare it, because back in England you still have poor pitches and you've got to deal with it. Whether you're playing on AstroTurf or you're playing in a bog, like it is what it is. It's the same for everybody at the end of the day. So the chances are equal, and it's fair for everyone.
The mindset of a title winning dressing room when you come to a club like this, was that a challenge in any way to sort of buy into it, or how did you deal with that?
Not so much a challenge, because I was lucky enough to be in a Cheltenham League 2 winning side, and when I was 17, 18, I was in a Lincoln League 2 winning side as well. So I've been around it as a young player, as a young pro, and being around the senior players and seeing what it takes, and all the hard work you've got to put into and stuff. So I didn't feel like I'd be out of place here. It's something I wanted to be a part of and to go on to do more things.
And in terms of the challenges that Damien puts on you as a player, does that previous experience, does that stand into?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a funny thing, football, because for you to be successful, it's not necessarily about having all the talent in the world. It's doing all the basics and the fundamentals and making sure you're a hard-working person and doing the right things day in, day out, and it gives yourself the best chance to then go on to be successful.
Have you any standout derby matches in your career that stick in the head?
Probably, I'm a Lincoln lad, so there's a team called Grimsby. So Lincoln Grimsby is a massive rivalry I had. I remember being in the academy days playing, and you just used to kick lumps out of each other. And I've been warned and told about the Dublin derbies here. So whenever the fixture comes, I really look forward to it.
And you, not a great stat for either club, but Shells are the only team not to have beaten Bohs since Alan Reynolds came in. I assume you feel you have to beat them, though you're well within your capabilities of beating them Friday.
Oh, of course, yeah. We, as a group, we believe we can beat anybody. The one thing I've learned about this league is, anybody can beat anybody, and it's really cliche. But if you're not at it every single week, you do get punished in this league. There's no fixture that you look at and you say, oh, that's going to be an easy win. So yeah, you have to be at it, and you don't really look at stats like that. You just prepare in the week, and hopefully, with a bit of luck on the Friday night, you win the game.
Your friends and family from over to watch the games, what have they made of the standard and the experience of going to games?
Oh, they've absolutely loved it. They've got huge respect for the league. They might have necessarily, before I came to Ireland, not heard much about it. But the time I spent in Sligo and the time I spent in Shells now, they've come and watched a lot of games, and they've been nicely surprised by the standard. And there's very good teams in this league, very good players. So
you said that you rediscovered your love for the game last year. When was the last time you'd had that?
Probably, I spent 4 years at Cheltenham. So probably the first 2 years, I was madly in love with the game. I was playing quite a lot. And unfortunately, I got a bad injury, and in football sometimes things happen, and you might come out of the squad or you might be injured, and suddenly you're finding yourself struggling with it. You can't really pinpoint the reason, but then obviously I've spent a lot of time out when I got injured at Cheltenham, and I stopped playing for a little bit. Stopped playing for about a year and a half, and coming over to Sligo was, looking back at it now, was the best decision of my career.
You say you stopped playing just through injury, or is it just?
No, yeah, through injury. Yeah, I was still, obviously when I ended up being fit, I was still going in and training and stuff. But in in football, opinions are big, and if somebody doesn't like you, then you haven't got much of a chance really. But yeah.
Would you have ever consider stopping when you were going through that period of not playing when you were back fit, of just stopping doing something else?
No, I don't think so. I've played football since I was 4 or 5 years old. I'll obviously always love the game. I think it's just in those kind of moments, mentally you can check out a little bit, and you might not really want to go in sometimes, but that's like anything in life. I still always will love the game, and for me saying I fall in love with the game, that's more so when I'm playing week in, week out. I'm playing with a smile on my face, you're playing well, so that kind of thing.
And would it be just football that you would have that connection with in terms of the mental health side of things, or when you went through that period, would you be looking at other stuff in your life to actually get that, in terms of feeling that when you would pause?
I don't mind saying, when I was going through that period, I ended up going to a few therapy sessions because of the way it was affecting my life outside of football, and that ended up helping me massively, just having little triggers and pinpoints in your own mental state to help you get throughout the day and stuff like that. Touch wood, hopefully I'll never get back to that. And I've been really happy. The year I spent in Sligo and the time I've been in here, I've been really happy. So long may it continue.
Do you feel better equipped to deal with challenges now, having had that therapy, and if something you went through a period on again, that you'd be able to manage it better? Yeah,
definitely. 100%. It's when I was still really young back then when I was going through that. So as you get older, you learn a lot more and you go through experiences. And I'm 24 years old now. I still class myself as young, so I'm still learning even now. But from those past experiences, I've learned a lot, and the experience I've gained from it will help me going forward.